Hi, folks. Welcome to the Moving On podcast. I'm Jay Norman, and this is my wife.
Hi, I'm Jessie Norman. Just like many of you, Jay and I have both walked through some difficult seasons in our lives.
And we know just how easy it is to get stuck.
We now have 5 beautiful
and crazy
children, and because of everything we've been through, our home operates on grace.
A concept we didn't fully understand until way later on in life.
Until we actually needed it ourselves. We want to share through stories of love and laughter,
how we were moving on, and how big of a game changer grace can be.
in relationship with one another, and how we treat ourselves, and in our case, blending a family.
Something that may just require the largest amount of grace to date.
Preach.
You never know what road life's going to take you on. We have a podcast.
Yes, we do, and we really hope y'all enjoy it.
Hi, babe.
Hi, I missed you.
I missed you too. We haven't been sitting in front of these for a while.
A long time. It feels really exciting. Feels like the first time or something.
It really does. So we've been on a, would you call it a self-induced break?
Hiatus. Probably.
For a little while.
Yep.
And so this is our first time to record since when?
I don't know. Maybe the very beginning of November or the end of October.
Okay.
You think?
I think so. So we've actually taken one episode for November, one for December.
Yep.
So that's a big change for us from doing it twice a week. And
especially for a year.
So we may be a little slow, like we've never done this before, but we are glad to be back.
We were trying to work with our audio, and I'm like, I don't remember yesterday, much less a month ago. So it was slow, but I think we've got it the way we want it. I'm not sure.
So we've slowed down on the podcast, but our life has kind of sped up a little bit without it. And I think we've talked about it in October. We've been full force basketball, full force on the farm. Mm-hmm. And it's been pretty wild and a lot of fun. We've traveled some.
Yeah. We got to go to Baton Rouge for Thanksgiving to spend time with my mom and dad and all of my brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews. And really looking back, because all week, my brother has 4 children that are my children's age, and so they just stayed upstairs or outside together. We never really even saw.
They did really good.
Saw my kids. Jay's kids were with their mama, but my kids went down there with us to see all of my family. And I think it really was the first time in 3 or 4 years that I've just kind of taken a break for a week.
Just relaxed and sat back and didn't stress about it all.
You can't really go to someone else's house and sit on their couch for 4 or 5 days because you're like, they probably would like me to leave now.
Yeah.
And I can't sit on my couch for 4 or 5 days because I need to be working outside or laundry or wrapping presents, something. Need to be doing something.
Well, we're just not here to sit on it.
Yes. And just to be at my mom's, I realized it was probably maybe my grandmother's. I could do it at my grandmother's, but I think my mom's house is really the only house that I could genuinely do that. And so I was just so thankful. We usually do Hallmark movies, but this year we did HGTV the whole week. And it was just so relaxing and nice. And I've been working on kind of honing my iPad skills with Lily, and my niece Addie are just really into graphic design. So they were kind of teaching me some things.
Yeah, y'all are all really good at that. That's good stuff.
I'm not yet, but they're phenomenal.
So we had how many there total on Thanksgiving Day?
I think it was 28 or 29.
So one came from Brooklyn, New York, and we came. So we had a big crowd, a lot of fun. And for me too, it was relaxing to be there and kind of take it easy and not be hard pressed. I had to work on the phone some, but overall it was really relaxing for me too.
Oh yeah, I just really appreciated you shutting down enough for us to relax. That was a huge factor too, is because, you could have wanted to be going, and you didn't. You just went and worked or sat with me, never, pressured me to get up off the couch. I really appreciate it. I mean it. I do not think I've taken that type of rest in years, probably since before the divorce and everything. I just kind of had been running since then, and I didn't realize it until afterwards. I looked back and I was like, goodness, I don't know when's the last time I've done that. And it was just perfect timing because when we came back into town, we were staring down the barrel of 5 kids in play, not just practice, but in practice and play. Jay coaches his little girl, I coach mine. So
as per our normal, we put a lot of things out in front of us. We don't always think about the proximity they are to each other. No. And so we go to Baton Rouge for a week, basically 6 days, I think. And then we realize when we get back that we've scheduled a little party that we got to get ready for too. And then as soon as that party's over, we have another trip scheduled. So
through Jay 50th, I could not wait to have all of our friends and family over, but we didn't even really get to clean up for the party when we left for Vegas.
Luckily, it was dark.
It was dark.
Yeah.
You're so cute. No, you did a lot of cleaning up. I saw you and the kids helped. I was so excited. But we had everyone over. We had a band. Greg Guyman, he's out of the Sherman, Texas area, and he was phenomenal. I loved watching my friends hear him for the first time. And some of our friends would arrive during a break, and I would just kind of watch him for when he started singing again, and their heads would whip around like, what in the world? And we had 2 fires going and 2 propane heaters going. Everybody kind of congregated in a fire in the party barn. And some family congregated around those. And we had some 2-steppers. We had our buddy Jacob and his wife Kayla got us a taco stand, a man that came and did authentic Mexican tacos. Oh, they were so good.
Yeah, it was a great night. It was a lot of fun.
It was like a wedding.
It was, and hard to believe what it's for. Snuck up on me a little bit, but
Did it?
I'm glad to celebrate it. Yeah, it has.
You're such an old soul. I feel like you would just be like, yep. But you're not.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. It's just hard to believe it's here,
Right.
Got here quick. And so for that, I think we mentioned maybe in October that we're running a 10K.
We mentioned it in October.
We did.
It's not like you said we're running in October.
No, we mentioned it in October, and we've still been kind of training for that. We've been off a little bit the last 2 weeks.
It's been tough.
Yeah, it has. And we've gotten, I guess, 2 out of every 3 runs in for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, you've definitely done better than me. I know that you did such a great job cheering me on for the trail run. And so since I haven't mentally been on board for this one, I'm just like, maybe that's my job for this, is to cheer you on. And I'm in the spot now where if I run once a week, I'll be fine.
Right.
I'll make it. I won't die. I won't necessarily look wonderful or get a great time. But if we wanted to go run 6 miles right now, I'd be fine.
Right.
And that's just from the trail run. But I will say that we did land in Las Vegas, drop off our bags, change, and go get on the treadmills.
No.
So that was a big deal, you know, and so I can see these little sparks of determination.
Motivation.
But
it has been tough to get done. But I've enjoyed doing it. I didn't think it was something everyone would do. I've run 5 miles now. That's the furthest that I've run in my whole life.
That was so fun that
And
day.
I've still got 6-2 run at some point here. I don't know if we'll get that done this week or just run it this weekend when the race is.
Right.
So I've got a lot of first on that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And I have kind of muttered under my breath that what the hell am I doing a few times for a few mornings. But
I'm just really thankful that you're the one pulling us along. We love listening to Dave and Rachel Hollis, and one of their big things that we've taken from them is whoever's got the mindset is the one in charge. Yeah. So if she's not wanting to work out, but he's the one that calls the shots, and vice versa. And I think with us, that's been portrayed pretty perfectly in the past few weeks, because I was the one just completely gung-ho this summer, and now you're in charge of our fitness. But I will tell you, I hate running in the cold. I hate it. It hurts my teeth. It hurts my throat. I just can't stand it. But luckily, we've had some really warm days.
Well, and you're talking about that Dave and Rachel Hollis deal. That's something that you and I have tried to go back to more the way we were when we first started dating and stuff, is whoever's kind of on the right train of thought on food is in charge of food too. We're having a little trouble fighting that battle.
I know.
Some days, but
we probably said it on here, but he asked me, our friend Jerry, I know he said, can one of you, when the first of the year starts, just walk around slapping stuff out of my hand, like slapping pizza out of my hand? Well, Jay kind of had the same conversation with me, like, will you help me? And I was like, oh, yeah, I will help you. And so we had gotten these gourmet cupcakes, I guess. He sat down and had one, and I, did my job and was like, babe, you seriously don't. Why are you eating that? And he's like, well, we paid for it. And I'm like, who cares? They were going to go to waste. We weren't going to take them with us.
We kind of overshot the runway on the
We were leaving the next day. And, he got so mad. He got so mad that it wound us back around to getting tickled about it. We got to laughing. And I was like, you're so mean to me. You asked me to do this. And he's like, I didn't say I was going to be nice when you were doing it. And so it was pretty honest and vulnerable. And now we can try to laugh about.
Yeah, sometimes we're both on the wrong page and don't do great a lot of the time, but we try to keep one of us on the page and fit.
The odds are better.
It is,
and we count on one of us.
If we can do it, hit 1 out of 2 most days, we're doing good.
Yeah, so. For sure. There's usually at least one of us that is wanting to be on track because that's something that we do share. We both we both love food. However, we don't like the way we feel in our clothes if we're, gaining a few pounds, and it makes us kind of cranky, both of us. And we also both like to train. So one of us at all times is either training or eating well. Yeah. Those 4, your 2 aspects of it and my 2 aspects of it, one of us is hidden on one of those 4.
And we usually both hit for a while, and then one will get sidetracked, and the other tries to get them back on the track.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad with the food stuff.
We all. So all that being said, with the race and Thanksgiving and travel, been pretty wild and crazy. And, and at times our mind has been in other places. You had a little incident at school that took you down a pretty rough road.
Yes, in the midst of all of that, getting ready for the 50th and knowing I was going to need to start packing for Vegas, which is a whole event in itself, packing, I had a few guys coming to the house to get ready for the party, and I was really trying to keep the stress down because I didn't want to ruin your party experience by stressing and becoming a monster. Right. And
you did a good job at that, by the way.
Oh, I hope you think that, because I really wanted to stay in prayer about that and just not ruin your time, because I can get away from myself and I can turn into someone else. Right. Because I'm freaking out. Like, what are they going to think of our house? Or our dog chewed our door casing off out there. Are they going to judge that? Like stuff like the little stuff starts popping up and getting under my skin. But either way, my head was so gone, just out there. And I had walked into my bedroom and I was trying to move my dresser and it fell forward. And stuff went everywhere. Everything on top of it went everywhere. The drawers came out a little bit and broke, I could tell. And I just left it. I couldn't get it up. So I left it. 2 guys were coming down the driveway. One guy to help us cut firewood from our farm crew. The other guy was going to look at putting lines on our basketball court. And I'm needing to get to carpool. So you can just tell so much was going on.
Overbooked once again.
Yeah. And I'm pretty scattered anyways. If you know me personally, it's just not my wheelhouse to be organized or sharp. So I'm just kind of hippie. And so go to school, get the kids. Liza gets in the front seat, Cash gets in the seat behind me, and I pull out the parking lot. We had the window down because our dog was with us, and I hear a kid screaming, "Mommy." I look in the rearview mirror or side mirror and see Cash running through the parking lot, which is pretty dangerous. And what had happened was Cash had gotten into the back seat, the one behind me.
Right.
There was something in it, and so he decided to go around. And when he did, I just thought
he opened the door. You thought he got in and shut the door.
He opened the door, shut it. It's exactly how we do every single day.
Yeah.
It's just, it changed. The plan changed, but I didn't know it. So my head, it was devastating. My head starts going, you could have backed over him. You could have backed over him. You could have backed over him. He's going to be traumatized. Look at what you've done to your son. You could have gotten him with a tire. I mean, all of these things, I just kind of came home and he was fine. He was safe. He was fine. I think he might have talked to a friend behind my car because he had grass on his shoes, and he kind of made mention of that, but then kind of he was crying, so I could barely kind of understand, and he was devastated. And so I just pulled over and held him for a very long time and didn't try to weasel my way out of it, just kept apologizing and letting him know in real time, Mom has scattered. And, my mom always says the accidents, the near misses happen so that the tragedies don't.
Right.
And so I just kept saying that was our near miss. That was Mommy needing to reset. That was God getting Mommy's attention. And I'm so sorry. And you're fine, and Mommy's fine, and we're going to be fine, and Mom's going to do better. And so I came home, and I am one to replay events. So every time I would replay him, seeing him run through the parking lot, I would just feel that anxiety coming on.
Right.
And so for about 3, 4, or 5 hours, I knew any time that came on to just go straight into prayer, straight to God, and just get it away. And I could stay busy enough.
Well, it's just one of those things that you look back on, and it'll still give you chills at some point.
It does.
Down the road, I've had them too. So
I think we all have them.
Yeah, I think every parent does.
And that I'm so glad you said that, babe, because every time it would bring it back up, it would bring up Lily's, or it would bring up Liza's, the close calls I had with them two. And so at this point, you're just like bullying yourself as a mother, and how am I going to keep them alive if I can't even, all of these things you're bullying yourself about. And so I've had enough growth and enough therapy to push it off for about 4 or 5 hours. And you came home and I said, do you mind helping me with the dresser? And so we went in, we pick up the dresser. I told you everything that had happened. And when the dresser is up and fine, there was this Christmas ornament from Cash when he was a kindergartner with his little chubby hand imprint on it. And it was and if you know me, I love Cash's hands. He was born with chubby hands. They're my favorite thing on the planet. And I've begged God, let me keep these chubby hands. And now he's like this tall string bean with long legs, long arms, and these little chubby hands. And now y'all going to be checking our pictures for his chubby hands. They're my favorite thing on earth. And so I had this ornament with his little chubby handprint, and it's in 1,000 pieces. And I just sat down, and everything that I had been staying off of me came on like a wave. And I just sat Indian style, and I knew as soon as I sat down, I was going to have an anxiety attack. And
I had no idea. I'm standing there. We just finished picking it up, and I move, I don't know, a shirt or something that had come out of there, and that ornament was under there, and that's when it started.
Yeah. And so they last about 4 or 5 minutes, we've told you guys, and there's just nothing you can do. We've tried Jay laying on top of me. We've tried Jay holding me from behind. I've tried getting up and running. That's how desperate I've gotten, is just to run around the house, dance. Jay is always like, let's get up and do this. And they only come now. Yeah. Now they only come about once a month now that we're exercising really well. But this one was just a doozy, of course. And
I think it was more than just just a common, just something for that.
It wasn't a normal one.
It was, it was just an accumulation of a lot of stuff.
Sure.
That was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes. And so there's a lot behind it, is what I think you mean.
Yeah,
So
that one had been building for a while.
And so, of course, it goes into my neck and my back and my arms. And so I'm kind of sitting on the ground pushing backwards. Jay has me in a hold from behind. And I guess we were about 2 minutes in. The worse they get, the more mad I get. The more mad, I had one a month ago, and Jay just kept saying, "What are your fears? What are they?" And I would just say, because you have a wife that you have to deal with this. And he's like, "Nope, next." And my next one would be like, "No one else has to deal with this but you do." "Nope, next." And we just kept going down. And my top 5 worries had to do with you and what you thought. And you were like, "Jesse, you've made up all of these things that are absolutely erroneous. There's no truth in them."
You're really good at that, by the way.
Thank you. And anyways, going back. And so Jay had me in a hold from behind, and I was just doing everything I could to get it gone. Just, why are you doing this? Why do you have to deal with this? Why can't you just stop? Just stop. Stop crying. And it's so much. It's lack of breath. I'm about to pass out because I can't breathe. Horrible muscle contractions and spasms, and just full on emotion that's unbearable. I don't know how to deal with it, and I can't get it to go away. And I'd had a conversation with the lady that is in charge of our publishing company, Beth. She's been an amazing mentor for me. And so she and I had a conversation the night before. She had gone back. This is so funny.
Right.
She had gone back the day before and listened to our episode, Puppies and Panic Attacks. And she was wanting to talk about a few parts of it. And so what's neat about that is when she left me a long Voxer message, and she said, "God, I feel really led by the Lord to talk to you about this right now. I don't know exactly why. Maybe you do." So we'd had this conversation the night before to where it was very fresh in my mind. And so cutting back to, I'm in about 2 minutes into this anxiety attack. And that conversation just comes immediately to the forefront of my mind. What we were talking about was the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think that's what episode we talk about.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
And that's from Mel Robbins. If y'all want to go back and listen to that episode, it's one of my favorites.
And explain that just real quick, what you mean.
Well, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that's the 5-second rule from Mel Robbins. And she is just talking about these mental disciplines. And what Beth and I were talking about were spiritual disciplines. And so with Mel Robbins, hers is when your mind does start bullying you or going down the incorrect, just like I was telling you those errors, like you hate that I have these panic attacks. That's not true. Well, these are the things that your mind tricks you into believing. That's just not truth. These self-told stories that have no truth whatsoever. So when you can go from that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's a mental reset that shuts down that error in thinking, and then you can replace it with something that is true. And so she and I were talking about it the night before, and she was talking more on the lines of what it reminded her of was these spiritual disciplines that when she got into these moments, that she would call upon the name of the Lord. And the study that they were doing was saying even they need to be a few more syllables longer because of that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It has to kind of take a little bit of time.
Take some effort, yeah.
It does. It has to take a little bit of time for your mind to reset. It can't just be an instant thing with what she was talking about. So this conversation with her is in the forefront of my mind, luckily, because it was the night before.
Right.
And I just think of something that my mom has told me my whole entire life, which is to just whisper his name. She said that my whole life, just whisper his name, just whisper his name. And I'm in 2 minutes into this horrific, fully loaded double-barrel anxiety attack. And I just whisper his name. And it didn't decelerate, slow down, take a few moments. It lifted. It was like there was a blanket over the two of us, and the blanket didn't just lift. The blanket didn't exist anymore. It vanished. The anxiety attack did not exist anymore. And we just sat there, and I was in shock. I think you and I sat there for about 2 more minutes just kind of staring at each other.
Right.
And so we get up. Jay, like this knight in shining armor, picks up the 1,000 pieces of our Christmas ornament. We go in the kitchen. I had been cooking something, and I just said, I need to tell you something pretty important, and I need you to take me seriously. And he's like, what is it? And I told him what had happened. And he's like, why wouldn't I take you seriously on something that important? And I'm like, well, it just feels very bizarre to even say it out loud. But I want to say that that's the first time in a very long time that I have felt the power of Christ on me. In real, palpable, in my life, felt the power of Christ. And it changed things for me. Of course it did. I mean, it was just insane. I don't even really know how to explain it. I just know that for the next few hours, I just kept thinking, I can't wait. I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait for the next one. And I just thought, how neat that he has us walking around waiting for the next trial.
Right.
You know, not scared of it, waiting for it, to experience it and see what we can do with it. I just think that's so neat.
I do too. And for me, my take on it from the podcast and the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, for me, it's more about just a quick prayer where if my mind's going down some road I don't want it to go, whether it's with you and I or work or kids or whatever, is just a quick prayer. And for me, that's worked. Just ending that, and that's what I've learned out of what we've talked about over the last year, and that has helped me in something that I've never done before, because you waste so much time in your head dealing with all that stuff where you could be doing something more productive, and not that it works every time to 100%, but a lot of times it does cut it off at the pass before it ever gets started, and I think that's similar stuff.
If you're praying and I'm not, that's a problem.
I'm just saying a different way of handling it.
No, I understand. I just know when you say sometimes it doesn't work, there's a lot of times where you're going straight to the Father and I'm going straight away from Him, and we're in the throes.
Right.
So I can see in that time where it would not be working, you know?
Yes, you're not praying or dropping the rope, but go ahead.
Yeah, so that was one of the neatest things, and still reeling from it, and I just, it was hard to describe it to you. Called my mom the next morning, described it to her, and both of you guys were just so supportive, giving me enough strength behind me to be able to say it on our podcast, because you will get people that will be like, what in the world is she smoking, or what's happening? But I just am describing it exactly how it happened. And it was very, very real. And I've had enough anxiety attacks to be able to tell you this is exactly how it goes. Right. And to tell you that any of them have just ended immediately is just not the case.
Well, and on the other side of that, with dealing with those, for me, I still can't really identify them that they're coming. I mean, just like that's out of the blue. I know now once it starts somewhat what to do and the best way I see it to deal with, but I still don't recognize them a lot of times.
Yeah.
When I feel like I should, but I just don't.
I don't feel that way whatsoever. I think they're ridiculous. I think they're ridiculous, and I should learn to figure them out. But that's still me just kind of...
Right. Being who you are.
Yeah.
Being who you are. So we've talked about how crazy our life is.
Yeah.
And y'all learn from the podcast that we have a lot of things happen to us.
Yes.
Everything we do, we have a story.
We always have a story.
The first one is when we were coming back from Baton Rouge and we're driving back. And we're getting off of the interstate onto a loop at Shreveport. And we're going about 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see this car in front of us just swerve out of the way. And I'm thinking that they have gotten in the wrong lane. Well, they hadn't. They were dodging a 10-foot aluminum ladder. And 3 cars, I guess they were the third car in front of us and the 2 in between. Anyway, when it got to us, we had to just keep from hitting the truck in front of us. He just stopped, dead stop in the road. And the ladder came out from under his truck and hit us right in the front. Went all down the side of the car. Luckily, we didn't have a flat. The guy behind us had a flat, and the guy behind him had messed his grill up. So that was our first crazy thing that happened to us coming back.
Yes, I want to pause there because I think we just thought, whoa, that was a close one. I don't want us to do that. I know for certain that if I would have been driving, this would be an entirely different story because you're such a good driver. We've gotten into we've gotten into near misses here and there, and your driving is so tactical, the way that you work our vehicle to avoid the tragedy. I don't know how to do that.
Thank you, baby. I'm going to knock on wood anyway.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I would have panicked. If you guys would have been there were so many different things that he needed to do to avoid what was happening, and I wouldn't have known what to do. And so that really made me so thankful for him and thankful that he was driving and thankful that he was in care of us and our kids, my kids, because it would have been a whole different story. So I hated to just blow past that in our life, like, whoa, that was close, because it could have been so.
Yeah, it was close. The ladder, no telling where it could have gone. And so, yeah, that was a scary one. So that was our trip back from Baton Rouge, and we come home. We're home a few days.
I'm not laughing at that one. I'm laughing at what he's about.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm leading up to is then we go to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And we're going to Las Vegas to go to the National Finals Rodeo, go every year, try to, and that's one of our favorite trips of the year. So we go to the rodeo, and every night after the rodeo, they have a buckle presentation at a hotel.
Yeah.
And so we drive out to this hotel, and we valet park the car. And we go in, and we go in the restroom, and she comes out, and...
Let me see.
Yeah.
I don't have my phone.
Which is not uncommon, but go ahead.
You're such a butt.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh. I don't have my phone. So I go back in the stall, look, it's not there. I usually leave my phone in the stall is what he's getting at. I don't have it. I can't find it. We track it because I almost thought a lady in the bathroom swiped it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a specific lady. I just swore I had it, and then all of a sudden I didn't.
So I look up on my phone. We have Live 360, and I can see it looks like it's out in the garage on the premises. And so I said, "Do you want to call the valet and get them to bring it back around?" And you said, "No, we'll just let it go. We'll get it in a little bit."
Yeah, I didn't want us to go. I mean, it would have taken so much longer to get it back.
Yeah.
Looking back, we should have done that.
Yeah.
So we go on to the presentation. It was one of my favorite parts of this trip was watching the go-round buckles be presented to all the winners that night. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And they replay the rides, and the person that won gets to kind of tell what was going on in their mind when it was happening. And it's just really cool.
Bring all their family and stuff up, introduce them. It's a really neat deal.
And tell them thank you and take pictures. And the buckles are beautiful, and there's just such high energy. There's little indoor fireworks. What are those called? Pyrotechnics. Yeah. So we go get the car, and my phone's not in it. And Jay immediately pulls his tracker up, and it's at Walgreens.
About 2 miles down the road. So I go over to the valet and say, "Hey, she left her phone in the car, and it's gone. The window's not broken. So y'all have either left the door unlocked or somebody that works here has stolen it." Mm-hmm. And so they call security. He comes over and says, "Well, we need to search the car because a lot of times it's wrong and they're still here." So they search the car, nothing. He says, "Well, there's not anything we do." And I said, "Well, I think we should get in the car and go down to Walgreens and get it back." He says, "Well, we can't do that. We can't leave the premises." He says, I said, "Well, call the police." He goes, "We have to call 311 because it's not an emergency."
Yeah.
So I call them. They say, well, it's closed for tonight. You'll have to do it in the morning. Go file a report with the detective. And I said, so in the meantime, our phone's going to be gone. And so nothing happens. So we decide, we get in the car to leave, and you can pick up from here.
Well, and I want to say 2 things. One, it's my phone. We have 5 littles, and there are videos and pictures swimming through my head that are on that phone.
Right.
And so I start getting really emotional. So there's 4 lanes of valet, and I crossed that 4 lanes like I'm about to kill a fella because our car wasn't broken into. So it's either the valet guy stole it, and this man is the manager of that person, or they left our car unlocked and they don't have good enough security, and I'm staring at 4 security guys.
Yeah.
So I've had a real hard time with them. I wasn't very nice to them. And the man had his hands up, who's not a man, who's 20, he's a boy.
Young guy.
And he goes, ma'am, I'm begging you, do not go to Walgreens. I'm begging you to just think about something for 1 second. What if they're armed? And I was like, I don't even care. I was so mad. I need my phone. I've got babies, and there's videos, and it's my phone.
And the crazy part about this is this really goes on for probably at least 10 minutes.
I think longer.
Or 15 probably. And they're asking us to file a report and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so we finally just get in the car and leave.
Well, I got in the car about 6 or 7 minutes before Jay did. I even got in the car while the man was talking to me, and I just got in, shut the door, and put my head down and just started praying. God, please just either let me be okay with getting a new phone and starting over on these memories, and maybe there are plenty on Instagram and Facebook to deal with. But I just kept thinking of videos on there that I really wanted.
Right.
And it's silly. It's just silly. I mean, it's not silly, but it's silly when you think of how hard we fought for it.
Right.
The extent we went to get it back, we probably should not have. But so I just prayed. And then 2, I thought I was going to have to fight Jay to go to Walgreens. I thought he was going to get in the car and say, it's gone. Just deal with it. We'll go to the store tomorrow and get you a new phone. And he didn't. He got in the car, pulled Walgreens up on his phone, and away we went.
So we go to Walgreens, and it's still there. And it's amazing that they were there that long.
Yeah.
A minimum, probably 15 minutes by the time we drove there. We pull into the parking lot, and there's 3 vehicles there. And so we pull up. The dot is right over this little white car. Mm-hmm. And so we pull up
that
beside
no one's in.
Nobody's in it. We pull up beside it, and I said, just stay in the car and call it, and let me look inside and see if I can see anything flashing. So nothing flashes. So in the meantime, while that's going on, this guy, and looks like his daughter, walks out of the store and gets in a nice car and back out and leave, and they're going really fast, but it doesn't move. And so I'm thinking it's a good thing we didn't have to chase them, because we could have never caught them in our little
they booked it.
And so that left one kind of sketchy looking car that when we talked about it afterwards, we kind of pinpointed it when we both pulled up and said that's probably it. So we we pull up behind them. I get the license plate number and put it in my phone, and we're kind of parked down the way from them a little bit. We back up to go another pass behind them, and a girl walks out of the store and gets in the car.
And so when they leave, we're looking at Life 360, and as they leave, so does my phone. So it's just so weird that my phone is in that stranger's car. Why? Why is it in there? It just was so odd.
And in the meantime, before the girl walked out, we were sitting over there, and you could see somebody in the seat flipping through a phone, just going real fast, like through pictures or something.
And I need to go back and also say that when you had called the cops, they had told you, do not pursue this. Do not go there. We've had people shot. Do not call the cops. Do not get a cop. They've been shot. We just need you not to pursue this.
Yeah.
So that's important to say, because we did pursue it. And so they leave the parking lot, get to the red light right in front of the store, and Jay goes, we just need some cops. We need a cop. Well, as he says that, 2 cops pull in front of us on the highway.
They're coming down the same road, and they don't make the light, and it turns red.
So they're all three sitting at the light, the thief and two cops, one in front of the other. And so Jay pulls us upside one of them, and I get her to pull her window down, and I say, they have my phone. Can you get my phone? They have my phone. And I think she's going to be like, sister, get lost. Like, get away from me. And she's like, Jay explains it a little bit further where we were. We were at South Point, and they stole it out of our valet parked car. And she's like, hold on 1 second. And she pulls up near the next cop car, and away they go. They pull after the thief.
Right. So we go through the light changes, and they take off, and the two cop cars follow them, and we follow them, and we have to make about, I think, 2 more lights before they finally they come to a light and turn left kind of onto a deserted road, and the cops follow them and pull them over right there. We didn't know if they were waiting for them to do something wrong or what, but they waited a while before they pulled them over.
But by this point, I don't want to be doing this anymore. Yeah. I've now decided the cop's going to get shot. It's going to be my fault. And I'm like begging Jay to get the cops to stop. Like, please stop them. And so we have it on video. I videoed what happened next. They pull them over. They pull all of them out of the car, throw them in cuffs behind their back. And she walks back to my car, and she has my phone in her pocket. She kind of pulls the corner out. She said, I can't give it to you, but I have it. And I lose it because of all of the emotion of it. I thought we'd put her in danger. I still feel like she's in danger. The other guy that was with her, the two of them were the nicest police officers I've ever met in my whole life.
Yeah, we couldn't have lucked out any more than what we did on that.
They were so loving and so nice, and they were so appreciative to us because these were kind of 4 bad dudes. I think one girl she goes, you can press charges or not, but they're going to jail either way tonight. And
what's crazy is they pull them over, and she walks up there, and we never did really know what she said, but somehow or another, the girl gets the phone out of her pocket and hands it to her. I guess she asked them, do y'all have a phone? And she just hands them your phone, and that's crazy.
Jay and I were really surprised by that because I even asked her, I was like, how did you get my phone? Because I don't know, I feel like the movies you see or here in Texas, that phone's going out the window long before I hand it to a police officer. And so I was like, how did you get it? And she's like, I just asked her for it.
Looking back, I guess they had no idea that, that it was being tracked. And, and they just never thought that the police would even know that they had it. Mm-hmm. And the craziest part, if y'all know my wife real well, and the friends that are listening do, that her phone is always in the red.
Amber's laughing now.
Amber's laughing hard because her phone is always dead, always near about to go off. Anytime you look at it on Life 360, it's got like 6.5%.
It was dead when I left it in the car.
And so that's crazy because if it had gone off, then we would have never been able to track it. And finally, we sit on the side of the road for probably 30 minutes waiting for them to sort this out. 2 more police cars show up and just had to fill out an incident report. And we finally get the phone, and they hand it to us, and it dies within 10 seconds.
It goes dead as she hands it to me. So he was like, can you look at it? And I was like, no, it's dead. But they did, they tried to get in my Cash App, couldn't. Tried to get in my Venmo, couldn't. My phone has been locked for a year now, and for some reason it isn't. I don't know if when it did the update, I don't know, something. I thought my face was opening it, and so Jay's like, no, I've gotten into your phone. It's not locked. So that made me feel like the biggest idiot that I'm walking around with an unlocked phone. It's the only reason the kids know your birthday, because that was the code for a long time.
Right.
And so I was like, no, it's locked. And you're like, no, it's not. And so they were able, of course, to get into my phone. They tried those things. It didn't work. Venmo did. I didn't have it locked down, I guess. So all they did was pay themselves $41 for beer, and they used a beer emoji
to transfer money from one to the other, and even have their names on there.
So now I know their name. So I looked at them on Facebook, and it's just all this junk for sale. iPads and Macs and phones and tires and
stuff they've stolen.
Lovely. I need to request $41 for when he gets out of jail.
Yeah. So that was our crazy story for our Vegas trip. We always have one. If you remember the episode about
Which one?
The wild horse, that was a crazy story from.
We always have a
from
story.
another trip. But this trip, y'all know Jess is big, and being on Instagram and posting stuff. And she's made a really good friend that we got to meet in Vegas and meet her and her husband there.
Yeah, we tried to think back to where it all started, and she thinks it's from when I put on there that we had bought NFR tickets and getting ready for it. And that was her love language, because I was talking about fashion, and that was her. And so out of all of my friends, she and I speak that same language of rodeo. And she is a farmer near where my parents live when they're in Colorado, and just hit it off every day we talk and get closer, and I'm just so thankful that we have found her. Yeah. How would you find her?
Yeah, that's a rare deal.
Any other way?
Yeah, really
We've
rare.
found some amazing friends through our farming community on Instagram, and I just can't wait to meet each of them. In fact, they were all together in Nebraska this week while we were in Vegas, so I wish we could have gone to see them, but soon. But yeah, we met Cam and her husband Jackson, and they had some friends with them too that were just as awesome as them. And that kind of thing can be scary because
never met them in person, don't know what to expect.
And you don't know. You don't know if they're going to act the same, act different, if you're like quietly backing out of the situation. And we were not. We were I love her so much, and I just can't wait for us to spend more time with them. And I'm so thankful that God crossed our paths so that we could become close. So that has been a lot of fun, getting ready for the rodeo with her. And they're still there, so getting to see them go to all the events and what she's wearing and different things like that. So I just love having new friends and new connections. It's neat.
Yeah,
such a blessing.
It was. It's been a lot of fun to get to know those people and to continue to get to know them better.
You and her have your own relationship too, and that makes it so fun for me.
Right.
Because I couldn't wait to get to Vegas because her husband doesn't have social media, so I couldn't wait to get to Vegas to get to know him so that we could kind of finish that four. And he was, of course, awesome.
So that was our last trip for the year.
We're never traveling again.
Just for the year. We'll have one of them soon, shortly, and we'll have a story to go with that one too. So
we got home and canceled several trips that we have coming up. I was like, can we just stay home for a little bit?
About traveled out. So this is episode 24.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Can you believe?
Yeah, it's already been nearly a year, or has been a year, and we've had 24 episodes.
Goodness.
So what is your favorite of all of them?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm not really sure. I guess my favorite would be, I guess my two favorites would be a tie between our episode with Jason and our episode with Jerry.
Yeah.
The only reason I put Jerry on top is because, and he's never going to hear this because he doesn't listen to our podcast. So you can tell I'm not using it as flattery, but the only reason I'm putting Jerry on top is because you and me and I and him, we just had the nicest time.
Yeah.
It was almost like we had gone to a party.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was such a fun and easy episode. Yeah. I know there are some others between me and you where I just really liked what God had us say. And I remember listening back and not ever remember saying it, thinking it before, nothing. And I love those God-breathed moments where he speaks through us, and then I get to hear it for the first time when we listen back to the recording. So there were several episodes like that. I cherish those. What about you, Bae?
I'm same. I think the one with Jerry was probably the most.
Is that your favorite?
Fun we've had it, and Jason was just so awesome and so eloquent in the way that he talked, and that was fun. And both of those were really easy to, not necessarily lead, but you just didn't have to do a whole lot. They were just really good at it, and that was fun. My favorite outside of that is Monkey Pissing in the Ocean, just because that's my favorite title.
Oh, is it?
And my favorite saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just because of the title.
There you go.
You don't remember what was said in it.
Not a lot, but I like the title.
I remember you saying it for the first time on the episode.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, I always have such a huge fear of people thinking I talk too much. Like maybe you don't talk very much and I talk the whole episode. The only reason I'm okay with it now is because you're always like, Jesse, if you're not talking, we don't have an episode.
We're in trouble.
And so, but I used to have a fear of feeling like I was talking too much. So when we have guests on, it's so nice. It's just so nice to listen back and see that they talked the whole time and I didn't.
Right.
And we plan on having a bunch of guests this year.
Yeah, I think that's going to kind of be our focus in season 2. And looking back on season 1, it has been a learning experience for sure.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten somewhat better. But for me, it's really about what we've learned and what we've been through. I think we went through a part where we got, I don't know, I'm not going to say tired, but I know we had trouble for 2 or 3 episodes just getting recorded because the things just weren't flowing like they had. And we had to learn from that. We had to figure out how to get past it. And that was a big deal for us just in our relationship. And I think that part has helped, just our relationship in general, because now when we do get to that dust up, I think that the time frame in those dust ups has shortened a bunch in the last year from what we've learned in doing this.
Definitely given us more tools on how to deal with these things. I agree so much. I think it takes so much discipline, and we had to scramble to find it, or we weren't going to be able to produce something. And I was just adamant that we get those episodes out every 2 weeks. And it doesn't take us recording and then we release it. It takes a lot of behind the scenes with our producer and getting it to different companies for cut sheets and
just to get set down to talk about a topic.
Yeah.
And then to get set down to record.
Right.
I mean, I think that's been good for us too. It puts another layer on that of making time for each other when it needs to be made. It's definitely toned me back on the go as far as getting here to do that.
Sure.
I think that's a good thing too.
But and also switching gears and not being so rigid with that timeline, because I was for a whole year. And so when we did decide to take off for Thanksgiving, I just wondered, is everyone going to notice, or is no one going to notice?
And honestly, I was really shocked that you wanted to do that.
Yeah, me too.
I really was.
Me too. I really just was afraid that once we stopped, we wouldn't start going. And I've been so afraid that we would be just like another number where you start a podcast and then quickly fade out and don't have one anymore. And anyways, I just like the learning curve of all of it. It's going to be fine. I think 3 people mentioned that they missed the podcast, and it was like, we are not that important. We're not that important. Like we can take some time and breathe and then reset and come back. And I think that's what we've been able to do the past 3 weeks. And I'm so thankful that I feel that way. I hope you do too, because now I'm really excited about season 2.
Yeah, I am too. And I think you and I sit back and reflect on a lot of this, and I think we've got other things that we haven't even scratched the surface on.
I know.
That we deal with. And I think just from the guest part of it, I think that this next year is going to be really good. Just what we have lined up so far.
Me too.
For people to talk to. It's going to be a lot of fun and really some powerful stuff too.
I do too. I cannot wait. And I'm so thankful, babe, for you and your willingness to do this with me. Because it's so uncharacteristic to who you are.
Right.
And I can't wait to see what other doors it opens for you and for me. And I'm just so thankful that I have a partner in crime that is willing to go where the Lord leads. I think that's such a huge deal for an old cowboy. I really do, because you could easily be set in your ways and defiant to any of this. And it just seems like anything I bring before you, you're ready and willing. And that makes my life feel 1,000 times bigger and more joyful. And so I'm just so thankful.
Well, thank you, babe. I appreciate it and all that. And it means a lot to hear you say that, because it definitely was times that I would want to run the other direction for sure. But, that's what I love about you is, number one, being brave enough to do it. And number two, being strong enough to drag us through the door to do it. And I say drag us because not necessarily that I was dead weight, but it's definitely something that was way out of my comfort zone. But it has been fun, and I've enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot. And I've learned, I guess, that, I would say to somebody that whatever opportunities are out there, not to sound cliche or whatever, but it's honestly not something I ever saw myself doing at any point in my life, sitting down to talk to anybody on a microphone for any reason.
Right.
And now we do it every 2 weeks.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. So looking forward to the next year. And what else you got on that topic, babe?
We'll come back first of the year with episode 1 in the very beginning of January, and hopefully have some really great guests for you guys. And I just want you all to know that we don't do this for fame or stardom. I have one of my best friends, she always teases, we're going to be bigger than Chip and JoJo, and I'm going to have my own line of crockery at Target. That's our biggest joke is our line of crockery, which I'm not really even sure what it is. But I just want you guys to know that there's only one agenda, and that's to further the kingdom of Christ. And we just don't ever want you guys to think that we're here for anything else besides you guys. We have such a heart. I have such a heart for helping. If there's any way that the words that we say into these mics can help you in any way, that's what we want to do. That's our main focus and our main purpose, is just to be a hand. That we love you guys, and that you are not alone, and that nothing you have done can separate you from the love of God. And we've been where you are, and probably way further down. And we just want to tell you that there's just nothing that you can do to mess up too badly to not be able to go on and live the most fulfilling life your mind could ever dream up. Yep. And more. And so that's why we're here. And that's why we're going to stay here. And
give yourself the time to get there. And from my standpoint, I just want to say thank you to all the people that's listened, and for the people that have made the comments that make you feel like what you're doing is worthwhile, or that you are doing a good job and make you want to continue. And especially from those guys that you wouldn't even think that would listen, that have commented to me personally or message us one way or the other. That stuff really means a lot.
We really appreciate it.
We really do. It means a lot, all the support and the time you took to listen. And we really appreciate y'all doing that. And all the comments. And once again, just thank you again for the year and being there for us.
Yeah. You want to go to Target and do some Christmas shopping?
Absolutely not.
Well, you told them that you were ready and willing to help.
Okay.
Remember?
Well, as the song says, the road goes on forever and the party never ends.
I love you so much.
I love you so much too. Thank you, baby.
All right, bye.
We sure appreciate y'all listening today. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you can search for us, Moving On Podcast. That's 3 words, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We would love to hear from you. With ways you're figuring out how to drop the ropes in each of your own lives, and even ways that you're not, hell, that's just as entertaining to us. See you in a couple of weeks.